بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. السلام عليكم everyone. We continue off where we left off, discussing Kana and her sisters. They're also called الأفعال الناقص, and we said ناقص. This means incomplete. They're missing something, so they don't have an event, they only have a time. Like, for example, if I said he was, it has a tense, it has a time. Where was it happening in the past? But what about him? He was what? It's missing something. So that's what why they're called al-af'al al-naqis. And we talked about the different al-af'al al-naqis. We mentioned, I don't want to go through all this. I just want to go through a brief summary of it. And we said that, Kana and her sisters, they're treated as jumla ismiya, which means, for example, if I just said he was, I'm introducing something, but there's no information about it. So the introduction is called the mubtada. That's why it's treated as a jumla ismiya. So that first part will be the mubtada, and of course, the information about the mubtada will be the khabar. Whether that information is a single ism, like kana rajulan, he was a man. Okay, rajulan, it's going to be mansub, because if it's a single ism, one ism, it's going to be in nasab status. The khabar of kana, if it's an ism, is going to be mansub. It's going to have nasab status. But it could also be a jumla fi'liya with a mudara'. That's what we said. You can have the khabar of kana being a jumla fi'liya with a mudara' fi'l. That's another thing. Another possibility is that you might not even have a khabar. You might have a muta'alliq bil khabar. And if you have a muta'alliq bil khabar, then, nothing happens. It doesn't have to be nasab. Only the khabar is nasab, and only when it is a single ism. All right. Then we also said, the same rules that apply to jumla ismiya apply to these things. So you can have an outside dua and an inside dua. So when you have an independent pronoun, that means it's an inside dua, and kana would replace that independent pronoun. For example, we give the example of huwa rajulun. You don't say kana huwa rajulan. You replace the huwa with the kana version of it. So if it's the huwa version, it will be kana rajulan. If it's the huma version, it will be kana. If it's the hunna version, it will be kunna. Like that. If it's the ana version, kuntu. In that same way. And of course, you can have an outside dua, like for example, al-ustadatu muslimatun. So you will replace that with the huwa or the hiya version, depending on what you're dealing with. Because al-ustadatu is feminine, we say kanat. كانت الأستاذة مسلمة, because again it's a single ism, so it has to be mansub. So, and then lastly we talked about negating kana sentences. We also said you just negate it normally, like the way you would negate a jumla ismiya. So if it's a past tense, you would use either ma kana or lam yakun, negating in the past. And if you're negating in the present, it's either going to be ma yakunu or la yakunu. Both have dhammas on it. And then you have the future negation, which we use lan. And if you use lan, it's going to be light, because lan is a light harf. So lan yakuna. And of course, we talked about certain templates that we can use. So ma kana li Muhammadin an yadhhab, and yadhhaba, of course, because it's mansub. And then, of course, we also said ما كان محمد ليذهب. It's a strange way, but these are the two templates that you can have with kana. And that's just the basic summary of that. I just wanted to recap on that before we go into the exercises, because I think it's important to just remind ourselves. And before I go into the exercises as well, I promised you guys that we will talk about kana التام. So yesterday we mentioned there are two kinds of fi'l. There's fi'l التام, a complete verb, and fi'l ناقص, an incomplete verb. The incomplete verb is what we are calling Kana and her sisters, and we talked about it yesterday. Okay. And then the complete verbs, these are verbs that if you say something, you don't have to, the sentence is complete. Basically, if, for example, I say, يذهب. What does يذهب mean?
He left, he is going or he goes.
Yeah, he is going or he goes. So if I say he is going, is that a complete sentence or not a complete sentence?
Complete sentence.
Yeah, this is a complete sentence. There is a tense, which is now, it's a present. And then there's also an event. What is the event? The going is the event. So it's very complete. And that's what we're talking about today. So sometimes Kana and these other and her sisters can actually behave in a complete way. They can actually be used in a complete way. So we said they're lacking, but sometimes they can be used in a complete way. What are some of these instances that this happens? So first of all, it has a doer that completes it. Of course, if I say kana or kuntu, I'm talking about me. I did something. And when it comes as a complete verb, it has the meanings of wasala or wajada. Wasala means to reach, wajada means to find. So it kind of creates those meanings. Okay? And we'll see in some of the examples what this means. Same thing when you have amsa, adha, asbaha, when it comes as a complete verb, it has the meaning of time. Like remember yesterday I told you asbaha has something to do in the morning. Adha has something to do with the duha time, and amsa has something to do with the evening. So if it comes as a complete verb, then it talks about time, something happening in that during that time, the morning, the evening, or the duha time. Then you have dhalla and madama. Dhalla means to remain, madama means as long as. But if it comes as a complete verb, it has the meaning of baqiya, which means to remain. And we know dhalla actually means remain. So that's kind of just the idea. Sara means to return. It comes with the meaning of return if it comes as a tam. So let's look at some examples so that you can actually understand. One more thing. This kana atam, most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, okay? It will come with adatu shart. These are tools for making shart, like conditions. Conditional, I don't know what they're called. Tools, conditional tools. So for example, أينما, هنا, حيثما, حيث, these kinds of words. So let's look at the first example. اتق الله حيثما كنت. حيثما كنت what? See, there's nothing coming after the كنت. حيثما كنت what? It feels like there's something missing, but it's complete. It's done. The sentence is finished. So fear Allah wherever. So kunta, what does kunta mean?
You are.
You were. Exactly. So fear Allah wherever you were. That's the literal meaning. Okay? But actually what it means is wherever you find yourself. So it has the meaning of wujitta, or where you find yourself. So fear Allah wherever you are or wherever you find yourself. Is that clear? Do you understand why this is complete and not naqis?
Because it's not even though you don't tell it, but it completes the meaning, right? That is why.
Yes. Yeah, there's nothing, you can see there's nothing that comes after kunt. There's only kunta. There's no the khabar of kana is not there, muta'alliq bil khabar is not there. It's just kunt. It's just the mubtada, nothing else, right? So when you come across such a case, then it's treated as a fi'l, as a complete verb. That means it has a fi'l and a fa'il inside, and it has the meaning of finding, or wherever you find yourself. حيثما وجدت نفسك, or where you find yourself, or wherever you may be.
Sister Ilam, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
You said like kana tam, it has both event and time. So time is being denoted by is and was, But event is action. You can tell it as an action.
Yes, event is an action. Yes. That's why we say masdar are only event and no time. Because masdars are just actions. Like to study, to eat, to to go, to come, to run. It's just actions. Yeah. Okay, so let's look at the second example. So we have here وإن كان ذو عسرة فنذرة إلى ميسرة. This is both of these are ayat in the Quran. So in this case you have in, which is a shart in this case. So this kana comes with in shart. إن كان ذو عسرة. So ذو is rafa and it's the isim of kana. So together they are the mubtada. And then where's the khabar? It's not there. Because fa is starting the jawabu shart. This is a totally different sentence. So we see that it's missing the khabar of kana. In this case, this kana is not naqis. It's actually tam, is complete. So we will not say if he was, a possessor of usra, we won't say that. We would actually say if he finds himself in possession of usra, I don't know if it's difficulty or I'm a bit, I'm not so 100% sure there. But that's basically how it works. When we look at, for example, number 3, ألا إلى الله تصير الأمور. تصير, this is one of the sisters of Kana that we know normally we didn't look at in the Baina program. So صار يصير, this is the word. And in this case, it means رجع يرجع. So إلى الله يرجع or ترجع الأمور, because أمور is a broken plural. So to Allah, all matters return. That's how we're going to understand this Sara يصير. It doesn't have, see, you can see al-umur is also rafa. So al-umur is actually the outside dua of tasiru in this case. So it's going to be treated as a fi'al tam. A fi'al and a fa'il. That's how it's going to be treated. Not as a mubtada and a khabar. I don't know if that's clear.
Sister Ilham, you want to say like what I understood is like when they are acting as fail naqis, they'll be treated as in a jumla ismiya, and when they are treated as fail tam, they will be treated in the jumla failure form.
Yes, that's basically it. Yeah.
So how would we know? By just seeing the file, we can make it out. In just Quran, if you want to analyze the surah, by seeing the file, you will make it out. This is a fail tam. Fail tam.
Yeah, you can, most of the time it comes as naqis, most of the time. But yes, Asma, the third one is also an ayah of the Quran. But some cases, and we are going to see some examples of this, there's some cases in the Quran where it comes as a fi'al tam. And you will actually just pick it up because the khabar will be missing. Or there will be no muta'alliq bil khabar. It will just be kana and maybe the dua. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sister Ilham,
Yes.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
I joined a little late in yesterday's lecture, also I did not attend.
Huh.
But then I have a confusion here. This Tasirul Umur, you said Umur will be a doer of Tasiru, right?
Yes.
Outside doer.
Yes.
But then it's not in here or Hua version, right?
Tasir is here version. Tasiru. Here tasiru.
Oh, right. It's this present tense. Okay, sorry.
Yes, Mubarak. Yes, present. Yeah. Yeah. So that's basically Kana Atam. You can look at this. This bottom one is a fun example of Kana Atam. لو كنت كما كنت لكنت كما كنت لكن ذاك لم يكن. So this basically means if you were the way you were, you would be the way you would be, but that did not become. So you see how there's no khabar. It's be and being and becoming, and that's just it. Like, so it's a fun example of that. I don't know if there are any questions on this. So the summary of it is that كان التام is treated as a فعل and a فاعل, and then كان الناقص is treated مبتدا خبر. That's just basically the summary of it. All right, great. I think when we look at some
So
examples.
Ilham, can I ask one question?
Sure.
Just now you said like Jumla isme this Kana and sisters acts as be and to become.
Yes.
And when they are I just want to confirm whether I'm understanding in the right way. And when they're taken as a tam, then they will take in a meaning of some other verb. Which is related to the verb.
Yes, like
you-
they will give that meaning. Like it won't be translated. That meaning will not be translated. For example, the first one, اتق الله حيثما كنت. Fear Allah wherever you are. That's the translation you'll find. Wherever you are, or wherever you may be, or wherever you are, even you could find that translation. But the meaning is wherever you find yourself. Like if I find myself in my room, if I find myself in at work, wherever I find myself, I'm supposed to fear Allah. That's the message behind the meaning.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, Saima.
Sister, can you please explain the second one?
وإن كان ذو عسرة.
Yes.
Okay. So you have وإن. In is shart. Okay, so we will talk more about shart later on. Our focus is كان ذو عسرة. So we have كان, it is the huwa version, right? So whenever we have a huwa version, we can look for an outside dua. And in this case, we have ذو, which is the rafa' version of, remember the أفعال أسماء الخمسة? We have the أسماء الخمسة, ذو, fu, أخو, حمو, all that. Yeah, this is one of them. So when it is in rafa', it takes a waw. When it is in nasab, it takes an alif. When it is in jar, it takes a ya. So we have ذو, ذا, ذي in that case. So we know this is rafa'. So this is the outside dua of kana. And ذو means actually possession. It's a mudaf by nature. Okay, it's a natural mudaf. So ذو عسرة is the mudaf ilay to ذو. So this is one bucket then. And this would be our outside dua of kana. And together, basically, it's the fi'l and the fa'il. Did I make it any clearer?
Yes. Yes, exactly. I understood it now.
Okay, alhamdulillah. So that's basically kana atam. I know it's a new concept, but it doesn't really happen a lot in the Quran. But it's important to know it because it actually happens in the Quran. And we're going to look at some examples. Maybe it's not. Yes.
I was in the case, I would have definitely translated it as the ism of kana, because it would be difficult. It comes with the practice, or it comes with the knowledge, or there are just few ayahs which we have to remember these.
I mean, you can look at it as ism kana, but when you translate it, the khabar of kana is missing. So this is like a complete verb. It doesn't require a khabar of kana. Only when kana comes with a khabar, then it becomes incomplete. But when it doesn't come with a khabar, then
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's perfect. Jazakallah khair.
Yeah. Or a متعلق بالخبر. It could be a خبر or a متعلق بالخبر, or a جملة فعلية that's acting as a خبر. Yeah, we talked about that. So anything that serves as a خبر in general, then it would be incomplete. Okay, so we can continue off where we left yesterday. We left here at يقول الحق. So for those who were not there yesterday, what we're doing is we are practicing Kana and Her Sisters. So we have different sentences here, and we come up with the Kana version, the Asbaha version, the Dhalla version, Mazala, Madama, and Laysa version. These are the ones that we're familiar with, even though we know that there are more sisters of Kana that are not so common, right? So I want to say يقول الحق means he speaks the truth. But I want to say he was speaking the truth in the past tense using kana. How would I say that?
كان يكون
يكون الحق.
Yeah, I'm just gonna يقول. What will be the حركة on الحق?
يقول
Why though?
it is مفعول of يقول sorry.
Yes, it is the مفعول of يقول. Not because it's the خبر of كان. Okay, so we just have to remember that, because this structure is where you have كان plus a فعل مضارع, and the فعل مضارع comes with a مفعول به. That's why this is منسوب, not because it's the خبر of كان. The whole thing يقول الحق is the خبر of كان في محل نصب. Okay, so if we have أصبح, what would it be?
same يقول الحق.
Yeah. So in this case, you would see that nothing really happens when you have جملة فعلية like this, because the only change that happens is when you have
جملة اسمية.
a جملة اسمية with a اسم مفرد, like a singular word. For example, if I say كان مسلما, so that مسلما has to be nasab. I cannot say كان مسلمون. It doesn't even sound right. كان مسلما, أصبح مسلما, ظل مسلما, ما زال مسلما. Yes.
Kana plus fail mudare is translated as he used to.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, he used to. Or he's being. You can have the being in there, because also the being kind of like brings in the mudare.
He was
Yeah.
being.
Oh, he was being. Yeah, he was being. Sorry. He was being.
Sister Ilham, just now you taught us this kana with the, is that this exam, doesn't it fit it there? The kana plus outside doer?
No, this is not an outside doer. يقول الحق. What's that?
It's yeah, it's fail mudare, right? It couldn't be possible.
Yeah. Was
There it was rafa. That was okay.
yeah. Okay. We'll see an example. When we come to that example, I'll show you. Yes, Saima?
sister, how will translate the second one? أصبح يقول الحق.
He became telling that. I mean, obviously, some of this might not make a lot of sense. We're just doing practice. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
It might not make sense. Just so that we can understand how the transition happened.
Okay.
But asbaha has actually several meanings. Somebody I went and researched it. Maybe if we have a few minutes, I'll show you from the dictionaries. So the rest remains the same. I'm not going to type it out. Basically, the only thing that changes is the word itself. If it's ظل, it's going to be ظل يقول الحق. If it's ما زال, it's going to be ما زال يقول الحق. If it's ما دام يقول الحق. ليس يقول الحق. Same thing everywhere. So not much changes there. Then we have البنت نظيفة. البنت نظيفة. By the way, I hope like translation wise you guys know what they mean, because I haven't been translating. So if you come across a word that maybe you're not familiar with, just feel free to ask. So البنت نظيفة. I want to say the girl was clean.
كانت البنت نظيفة.
كانت البنت نظيفة.
نظيفة. Now we see where the changes is happening, right? Because in this case, نظيفة 10 نظيفة was the خبر in this case. So we have البنت نظيفة. البنت was the مبتدا, نظيفة was the خبر without كان. When we brought in كان, the مبتدا became the اسم of كان, and then the خبر became منصوب. So that's just what happens in a كان sentence. So كانت, let me put a فتحة here just so that we clear that up. Yes, Taima. And who else?
Sister Ilham, in the above case, asbaha yaqul al-haqqa. If yaqul al-haqq means he said the truth. What if they said the truth? So we will change asbaha, right? Asbahu yaqul al-haqq.
Yes. If it is plural, يقول or يقولون in this case because you can't, there's nothing making it light. So أصبحوا يقولون الحق
Okay.
if it was plural. Yeah. So yeah, the same thing for all of this. If this verb changed here to any other version, it could be يقولنا, it could be تقولوا, whatever version it would be, أصبح would conjugate the same way, and also كان would conjugate the same way. Just remember, ظل and ما زال only have ماضي and مضارع. ما دام and ليس only have ماضي. So that's just something to keep in mind. You cannot go
Only
beyond.
the Madi version they have. Laisa and
Yes.
Madama.
Yes, only the Madi. You cannot go beyond. There's no mudare of Laisa. There's no such a thing like Yalisu. I'm just making that up. There's nothing like that. Or Mayadimu or Mayadumu. There's nothing like that.
Okay.
Mm. So كانت البنت نظيفة. Let me put the كانت البنت نظيفة. أصبح would be
أصبحت.
yes. أصبحت, sorry, أصبحت. And then of course the same remains. أصبحت البنت نظيفة. Same thing with ظل, ما زال, ما دام, and ليس. So ظلت البنت نظيفة. ما زالت البنت, again ما زالت البنت نظيفة. ما دامت البنت نظيفة. ليست البنت نظيفة. So that's just what's going to happen with that. All right, this is going to be interesting. هن يأكلن. Put the dhamma here so that.
كنا
يأكلن.
Yes. كنا يأكلن. Control copy that. Let me paste this one here. Oops. كنا يأكلن. And the same thing you would do with أصبح, which will be
أصبحنا.
أصبحنا. Oops. يأكلن. So you realize that the only change with the khabar, it only happens when you have a word like this. A single word, an ism. But when you have a فعل مضارع, nothing happens. When you have a متعلق بالفعل, nothing happens. Any questions so far? Okay. So here, maybe let me just continue with this line. So this is ظل. I want us to do this one actually. Let's do ظل ما زال all the way up to ليس, because I think this is important. Although we'll get to صرف. This is a little bit of صرف here, but let's see if you guys remember. How would I use ظل here?
ظللنا.
So is it ظللنا or ظللنا?
ظللنا.
زلنا.
That's ما زلنا.
Oh, ما زال. Okay, that is زلنا. Okay.
So this is going to be ظللنا. ظل يظل, I think. If it's ظل يظل, it's going to be ظللنا. Let's just confirm that. I'm not 100% sure. Anybody who's 100% sure? There are about like 3 different words that I keep confusing.
It says ظللنا in the book.
With a
Page
kasra.
131. Yeah, page 131.
Okay. Oops. So if it's kasra, then we put a kasra. ظللنا. Because they're like 3 different words like this with ضاد, ضا, and ذا, and they just confuse me. And they all mean different things. So we have ظللنا. Of course, يأكلنا is going to remain the same thing. How about ما زال?
ما زلنا.
ما زلنا, yes. For now, just memorize it like this. Then when we get to صرف, you'd understand why the kasra here, why the fatha there. There. ما زلنا يأكلنا. What about ما دام? ما دمنا. Again, same thing, just memorize dumna for now. And then we'll figure out the صرف. ليس. لسنا. لسنا يأكلنا. So that's just how they conjugate. And of course, sarf has a lot to do with this. Right, let's figure out the last one. So this is a question. ما الجواب الصواب? What does this mean?
What is the answer for the question?
الصواب. What does
Is that
الصواب?
right?
Oh, no.
False.
So صواب
What
means
is the right
What is the
answer?
correct question?
but الجواب, not question. الجواب.
What is the correct answer?
Yeah, what is the correct answer? So you see الجواب and الصواب, they match in all four properties. So this is موصوف صفة. So what is, we put the is after what. So what is the correct answer? But we want to say what was the correct answer. What are we going to do here? What did we say about question what?
ما
Be confident. Don't worry about being wrong or right. It's fine.
ما كان الجواب الصواب.
Yes. So ما كان الجواب الصواب. What that means basically is go back up. With question words like ma, man, all these question words, they come at the beginning. Always come at the beginning. So we can't say كان ما الجواب. We have to say ما كان الجواب الصواب. Yes, Saima.
So الجواب الصواب is the مبتدأ, not the khabar.
No, الجواب الصواب. ما كان الجواب. Sorry. What am I? Sorry. Yeah, in this case, ما كان الجواب الصواب. No, I think it's still the mubtada here in this case. The ma is the khabar actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But it just comes at the beginning because that's the rule. So ما كان الجواب الصواب.
How will differentiate, sister, this with the negating mark?
So most likely you'll see a question mark if you're lucky. If you're not lucky, if there's no question mark, then
The sense of the question?
Yes, yeah. You just ask yourself, okay, what would that mean? ما كان الجواب الصواب. If it's a negation and it continues, or there's a full stop on it, or maybe there's something that was said before, again, context will tell you to differentiate. Because this could actually mean it wasn't the right answer. Yeah, I could probably say that. Yeah, but I put the question mark there on purpose so that we differentiate that. But if it's not there, then it could possibly mean two things. That's why they say, Masha Allah has like so many meanings because there's so many there are 9 different kinds of ma. So it could possibly mean 9 things. Yeah. All right. Same thing with asbaha. So I won't say asbaha ma kana or asbaha kana. I would, what am I saying? Asbaha ma. I would say ma asbaha al-jawabu as-sawabu. Right? Same thing with dalla. It remained the correct answer. So ما ضل الجواب الصواب, and then ما زال الجواب الصواب, ما دام الجواب الصواب. As long as the right question, the answer is right, then you continue. And then ليس الجواب الصواب. No, ما ليس. No, in this case, ليس is not going to work because you can't have a question. How would you? Don't think ليس is going to work in this case. Yeah.
Ma is question word, right?
Yes, ma is a question word in this case.
So, sister, how is it translated?
What was the correct answer, or what was the right answer? If I say أصبح ما أصبح الجواب الصواب, what became the right answer? Something like that. Or ما ظل الجواب الصواب, is the question like is it still the right answer? ما ظل الجواب الصواب, is it still the right answer? I can't think of any other way. ما زال الجواب الصواب, as long as the right answer, then you continue whatever you want to say, as long as what? And then ما دام الجواب الصواب, again, as long as ما زال, no, ما زال, it remains, it's still the right answer, and ما دام, as long as the right answer. Is that clear? I know we haven't done Sarf Kabir yet of this stuff. This is just Sarf Sahir, guys. But it's not that difficult. I want us to do Sarf Kabir when we get to Sarf Sahir. Sarf Kabir, sorry. We'll do the Sarf Kabir after we have done Sarf, because then it will make
So
sense.
with mazala there will be two mazala zawab.
Mazala. All right, yeah.
Mazala. Because one. Okay.
But the thing is with I wouldn't want to use, actually I wouldn't use these ones here. Let's put an X here. Here, and here. Because this kind of question, ما الجواب الصواب, what kind of a sentence is that? Is it جملة فعلية or جملة اسمية?
Ismail?
Yeah, اسمية. So it's better to negate it in the اسمية way, and to put ma with ma, it's going to be weird, right? So I would prefer to use, if we want to negate it, then we can use lam. Or in this case, if we want to use a question word with mazala and madama, we can use hal. Yeah? هل ما زال الجواب الصواب, or yeah, هل ما زال, or هل ما دام الجواب الصواب, instead of using ma, because then you'll have two ma's, ma زال, and it's just weird with this particular sentence structure. Any other questions? I think somebody was raising their hands and I didn't catch it. I don't know if you still... Oh, okay, nobody. Fine. All right. If there are no questions on this is just positive sentences. Now let's look at some negation. Okay. Now you're going to come up with the Arabic version of it first, and then we're going to try and negate it, depending on whether it's past tense, present tense, or future tense. So them ladies were prepared. How do I write that? How do I say?
تعددنا.
Kunna?
مستعدة.
Why tun?
مستعدة. Because it will be مستعدة. Sorry, مستعدة.
Big
Is
word.
it correct?
So, how do I write it? Do I put a ta marbuta, or do I put alif? What do I put here?
Alif ta. Is it correct?
Yeah. So musta'idda, you make sure you pronounce the alif, because if you just say musta'iddatun, that could mean one. So musta'iddatin.
Okay. مستعدة.
Yes, kunna musta'iddat. Them ladies were prepared. Now be very careful. Sometimes, people look at them ladies and they wonder.
Hunna.
Yes.
It should be hunna, right?
Oh, hunna. Yes, sorry, hunna. Yeah, you're right. Because them ladies, not your ladies. Yeah. No, we're doing kana.
It's verb, yeah.
You're confusing me. Yes. It's Kana. That's what we're doing. Yeah, it's not like we're not trying to say your ladies. We're trying to say they were. Them ladies were. So when you do kana, kanu, kanat, kanata, kunna, right? This is what we are dealing with. Kunna here. This is the one. So again, sarf is what would unlock some of these things for us. Inshallah, when we get there.
So Ilham, it's prepared, right? It's prepared. So
Yes.
is it not past tense?
This is one of those words. I think I mentioned about this. So ista'adda means to be ready. But in English, we use it to mean prepared. So you yourself, you're being ready. So you can, maybe instead of being prepared here, what I can actually do, oops, I can actually write here, we're ready, to make it easier for you so that you can actually see that it's an ism. Instead of looking at it as prepared and you're thinking, okay, it's past tense, how do I use it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that's confusing. This is just one of the things that you'll have to get used to with English translation and Arabic. Like that's how they use it. Musta'idda, musta'idun, they use it for prepared. But in your head, you can think of ready. So they were ready. Kunna musta'iddatu, musta'iddatin.
Yeah, to say is this
Sorry, could you repeat that? You're breaking.
is
Maybe type it in the chat because I can't hear you. Or unless if somebody else got it, maybe you can say it on their behalf.
Sister, can't we use ista'idda here?
Ista'adda.
Hmm?
So give me the word. This is some muda'af. You're going to practice some muda'af. استعددنا. Yeah, you could actually say that, but since we are practicing kana, we want to use kana. Right? Yeah, you can say استعددنا. Again, with the sarf, that's why I didn't want us to do the madhi, because something happens when you reach them ladies. And then there's a split in the muda'af. There's a lot of sarf. I didn't want us to go that route. So this is, I think, easier for now. Okay. How do we negate that?
We can use ma or la or
Yes.
laisa.
No, you can use, how do we negate past tense?
Ma kunna.
Ma
ما
and
كان
lam.
ما كان
Yes, ما كان and لم يكن. Those
لم
are,
يكن
yeah. So you can say ما
كنا
ما كنا. Again, them ladies, they're just stubborn like that. And of course, whatever comes after that is just going to remain. Or you can say لم.
لم
Of course, this is going to be jazm.
يكن لم يكن
Yeah. لم يكن. لم يكن. How are you? Ooh. No, this is يكن.
لم يكن
Yes. لم
yes
يكن.
Lam yakun.
Because again, with them ladies,
لنوم
it doesn't change. Yeah, this was a tricky one. I didn't know I sneaked in a tricky one here. It's a little bit tricky. If you use the lam yakun, that is. Ma kunna is a bit straightforward. But yeah. Again, some of these things, why this one is not majzoom like this, we will get there when we get there in sarf. But it is actually fi mahalli jazm, even though it has a fatha on it. Any questions there?
The conjugations instead of kunna in mudare is yakunna.
Yes. For them ladies. Yeah, so this is I know it's a tricky one, so let's just look at the table maybe.
I think it's takununa. Takununa.
Hunna. It's mudari. Are we dealing with mudari or madi?
Yeah, mudare.
Hunna yakun.
Lam mudare.
Hunna yakunna. Let me just, so you can clearly see. So you see it's hunna.
Kunna is, it is takunna is antunna. Okay.
Yeah.
I was confusing in the
Yeah.
Jazakallah khair, sister.
Okay. All right. Now let's look at Ahmed and Maryam who are late today. Again,
Kana.
كان
Kana.
أحمد ومريم أحمد ومريم
You fixed it. Ahmadu ومريم. Sorry, I picked the same error. Yeah, كان أحمد ومريم.
What's the word for late?
We'll use an ism, and I know this is one of those things you're going to ask me again. Isn't late ماضي? Again, one of those things. Like, you just have to imagine it as late in this case as an ism, not as a فعل. So we'll use متأخر. So what will it be? متأخر what?
rainy
متأخران.
متأخران.
Why
Yes.
Rani?
Rainy.
rainy it's منصوب.
Oh.
Yes. كان أحمد ومريم. Yes. اليوم.
Sister Ilham, late, ready. We are treating them as an idea, like abstract noun, like an event or something like that. That's why we are treating it as a noun and
Actually,
not.
they're isim files. In Arabic, we look at it differently than in English. These are just two of those words that it's better to just memorize it and know that the
Okay.
word for getting ready is مستعد, and then for late is متأخر. Yeah, because it slightly different meanings. Like, it's not exactly preparing. It's being ready, for example. تأخر, he was late. That's how we say it in English. But it's because it's so hard to translate in English. That's the problem. Like, to capture the exact meaning. And also because in English, it looks like a verb, but in Arabic, it's not. Right? So that's the difference. So تأخر, he was late. يتأخر, he is being late. Or he is late. Then متأخر, he is a late comer, if you would. Maybe that's something that would make more sense. He's a late comer. So Ahmed and Maryam were late comers today. Maybe let me put that in brackets so that maybe it could make some sense. Yeah. I don't know if that makes it a little bit easier to understand.
Yes, Alhamdulillah. Yes, Alhamdulillah.
Okay.
Sister, the part on yom will be?
the حركة on اليوم
Yeah.
going to be a fatha. You're going to tell me why. Why do you think it's going to be a fatha? What kind of a word is اليوم?
It's a zarf.
Zarf?
Yes. Darbs are always going to be nasab.
Oh.
That's why. All right. So how do we negate this?
ما كان, first one.
Mm-hmm.
And لم يكن.
So ما كان. Oh, double كانت. Yeah. And so this one it's pretty simple. I'm going to delete that. لم يكن أحمد ومريم متأخرين اليوم. Just maybe a slight tangent here. If it was Maryam and Ahmed, how would we say it?
Then we'll use the female version of كانت.
Yes. So if I'd said Maryam and Ahmed were late today, I would say كانت مريم وأحمد متأخرتين اليوم. or متأخرين is also fine. متأخرين because متأخرين, the masculine version is used for both male, female and yeah, and masculine. Is that clear?
Yes, madam.
Okay. Now let's go to this one and maybe we'll do one more or end here. You male are being silly. سخيف is the word for being silly or for silly. How do I say it?
سخيف.
So we have to use kana somewhere.
كنت it'll be كنت.
كنت
then-
سخيفا.
But then it's not madi, it's you are.
It's madi. It's mudari, right, sister?
Yes, it's mudari. So what is the mudari of kana?
يكون.
But you
تكون.
version.
تكون.
There we go. تكون. Then
سخيف.
سخيفا.
yeah. سخيفا because it's the khabar of kana. تكون سخيفا. Now
Here only I'm getting confused. Sometimes you're using kana in jumla ismiya and sometimes you're using kana in
with an
this is
word.
not jumla failure, sister Ilham, this one?
No. سخيفا is an ism. Silly. Silly is
We are being it's taken as jumla failure, right? Jumla failure, it's mudari.
yeah. So this is the part of kana that actually confuses a lot of people because it looks like being is a jumla fi'liya. But we said, kana is a fi'l. It's only that it is naqis. It's missing something. So this being part, did you? I don't know. Did you get it?
I didn't get it. Actually, I'm confused because you're being silly. We said it's are. It was not was, and still they're using kana. Why?
Yeah, but not kana. We are using yakunu, not kana.
Okay. Kana
Yeah?
yakunu.
Yeah, kana yakunu. Yeah. So kana, he was. Yakunu, he is.
Oh yes. I'm sorry. Yeah, absolutely right.
Okay. So now how do we negate the mudari'?
It's
لم
ma
تكن.
mudari. It's ma or la.
Ma or la, exactly. So we're gonna say ma.
تكون.
Yeah. So the whatever comes after that is just going to remain the same. And we use la, the same thing is going to happen. Right? لا تكونوا.
Ilham, can we say anta sakhifun? You are silly.
Yes, you can say that. أنت سخيف. أنت سخيف جدا, you can even say. You're very silly.
We know instead of takunu, we can say anta.
But then you
No,
won't
right?
capture the meaning of our being.
Okay,
You would just say you are silly, not you are being silly.
Okay. Exactly.
Maybe we can do this last one. The boy was playing at the masjid.
كان الولد لاعبا في المسجد.
So there are two ways you can say that. You used an isim fa'il there, which is fine. كان الولد لاعبا, it's fine. Or you can use the فعل مضارع, which would be
يلعب.
يلعب. Yes. So لا لاعبا, or we can use يلعب.
Sister Ilham, there I get confused.
Yes.
Yeah, we are using file also. We can use. You said we can use file.
Yes, isim fa'il.
And yeah, because the one who is playing, so we can use that one as a file.
Yes. So
When we can use a some file and when we can use this one, because you said some of the verbs and some of the some files, some of the masdars, they act like a verb.
yeah, they do act like a verb, and they actually take a fa'il. They can actually take a maf'ul and things like that. So how do
when
you
we
know?
yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, it's fine. So it's just how you want to speak, basically. Like in English, there's so many different ways to say the same thing. In Arabic also, same way. There are several different ways, especially in MSA. Of course, in Quranic Arabic, any difference makes a different meaning. But in just normal speech, like if I say, I can't think of an example right now, but you understand, like there's different ways of saying the same thing. I can be able to say I'm a player or I'm playing. Like that's kind of like what is being said here. So if I say كان الولد لاعبا, in this case the boy was a player, but it's understood in Arabic to mean like the boy was playing. Yeah. Or if I say كان الولد يلعب, same thing, the boy was playing. That's just the only thing. Like there's several ways of saying the same thing. You decide which one is easier for you.
But because when we are using ism file, there are no other conditions. Like it will work same like it maful will come and mutalib bil fail will come just like that.
It depends on, yeah, if there's a maf'ul that is attached to that. For example, if I said the boy was playing basketball, if I added here basketball, right? That's a maf'ul. So if I had كان الولد لاعبا, I will have to put the maf'ul there. كرة سلتي. Yeah. Either way, then it will be understood that كرة السلة is the maf'ul of لاعبا. So there are certain places where isim fa'il is mostly used. Like for example, if I want to say he was sitting, كان جالسا, he was sitting, isim fa'il. I'm using an isim fa'il. I can also say كان يجلس, he was sitting. So there's in some cases where the isim fa'il and the isim maf'ul is interchangeable like that. It comes with practice. Don't worry about it. It will come.
Kana
There'll be-
waladu, then waladu is ism of kana, and yalabu is ism of kana. I'm sorry, khabar of kana, and fil masjidi it would be the mutalib bil
Yes,
khabar.
yes, that will be the structure. So you have kana, that's the isim plus walad, that's the mubtada basically. La'iban would be the khabar. That's why we are putting la'iban there, fathas. Then يلعبu would also be the khabar في محل نصب جملة فعلية. And of course في المسجد متعلق. Is that clear with this example?
Alhamdulillah. Yes.
Okay. Now again, how do we negate this? What kind of a sentence is this? Is it ماضي or مضارع?
ماضي.
Yeah.
ما كان.
Yeah, ما كان or لم يكن. So the whole thing just remains the same. It's just we're going to say ما كان الولد لاعبا أو يلعب في المسجد أو لم يكن الولد لاعبا أو يلعب في المسجد. That's the only difference. Everything else stays the same. Any questions?
The boy was playing basketball. This could be also a jumla ismiya, right? Because we have the boy, the mubtada.
Yes, this is a jumla ismiya. It's a kana is naqis, so it's treated as a jumla ismiya. So this first part would be the mubtada, then la'iban would be the khabar, or if you're using yal'abu would be the jumla fi'liya في محل نصب خبر of kana.
So how would we negate the kana in that? It's just confusing. How would we negate jumla ismiya?
Okay, so how do we negate jumla ismiya? Let's start from there. What are the two ways we negate jumla ismiya?
La and ma?
No, ma and lam yakun, or lam plus mudari' majzoom. Remember that? So that's how, like, for example,
that's the jumla failure, right? Jumla failure?
Jumla ismiya.
No. If
No,
you want,
that's ماضي. That's ماضي. Yes, jumla fi'liya ماضي.
yeah, this one. How do we negate this one?
So it's going to be ما كان. Let me just copy this fast.
This would be Madi only in a similar system if he was playing.
Yes,
No?
yes. كان الولد, the boy was playing at the masjid. That's what it means, right?
Should I tell you one thing? I'm getting confused.
Hmm.
Is it the boy was playing is taken as Jumla failure or it is taken as Jumla Ismiya? Because when we take Jumla failure, then there is fail Madi, and we have two ways to negate it: Ma and Lam yakun. Ma and Lam plus Mudare. If it is Jumla Ismiya, we have taken, this is how I am taking it. If it
Sister,
is Jumla
Kana
Ismiya,
Kana sentence is always treated as Jumla Ismiya, right?
Yeah, but then they are treated for like negation. The kana
Madi,
is treated
yeah,
as a verb.
yeah.
So
oh,
how
okay.
Kana,
So negation,
but I
we take it
remember that
as
Kana is
verb.
the Naqas word that is a fail, but we are treating Kana as a Jumla Ismiya always. That's what I think.
Yeah, so I think I understand your confusion now. Because you're saying
Yeah.
we treat jumla, when it's positive, we treat it as a jumla ismiya, right? But now
Okay.
when we're negating it as a jumla fi'liya madi. Is that your confusion?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is, yeah, that's what happens. Like, remember when we said when we negate kana sentences, there are three different ways we negate. And we negate as jumla fi'liya, even though we treat it as jumla ismiya. So
Okay.
that's something to just keep at the back of your mind. When it's a positive sentence, we treat it mubtada khabar and we treat it as jumla ismiya. But when we're negating, we look at the templates for negation according to jumla fi'liya.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I had not gotten your confusion, but yeah. So that's what happens.
We use ma as well for present.
Yes. Yes, you can use ma and la for present tense. And
I
then of
think
course
Ustaz said ma is for past.
you can use it for present as well.
Okay, thank you.
You can use it for present. So we'll have here lam yakun, and then لم يكن الولد لاعبا أو لم يكن الولد يلعب في المسجد. All right. I think we can finish up next week some of these examples, and then we also look at some examples in the Quran, and I'll also try to come up with other exercises for especially for sarf kabir and the conjugation of kana and asbaha specifically, because those ones conjugate normally. And if you come across any, because I know Kana can be tricky, Kana and Her Sisters. If you come across, maybe even from the reader, you would come across something that might be a little bit, you don't know if it's the isim of Kana or it's the khabar of Kana, you can post it in the group and we can try and discuss it, inshallah. Yeah, but otherwise,
Sister Ilham,
Mhm.
I do is like I just remove the kana and I translate it, and I come to know what is mubtada or not. Then I just put kana into it and I take it as a sim of
Yeah.
kana.
That's the best solution to do this, to understand kana. Remove the kana, ask yourself what is the mubtada, what is the khabar, and then of course the mubtada is going to be the isim of kana, and then the khabar is going to be the khabar of kana. That's the
Okay, that's
easiest.
fine then. Okay,
Yeah.
that is fine.
Any other questions before we end? All right, I'm gonna stop the recording. بارك الله لي ولكم في القرآن الحكيم ونفعني وإياكم بالآيات وذكر الحكيم. سبحانك اللهم بحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.